What's up,
David,
man?
what's going on, man? How you doing?
Oh man, I'm doing good. I was texting you, telling you I was running late. I didn't see you if you replied or not. Sorry about that. I was trying to get this old engine up and running.
It's all
When
good.
you got a little bit of a cold. You know what I mean?
It's all good. Listen, I feel for you, man. I've got two young boys. My youngest is about the age of your daughter, and they both came back sick a couple days ago, and we freaked out because we thought it was COVID. My older son was like,
Yeah.
the food tastes funny," and I'm like,
Oh,
"What do you mean the food tastes funny?" And I'm like, "Oh crap!" So we went to the pharmacy and then got the test and did the nose swab and everything like that. Thankfully, it was just a cold, but we've been with you, man. Just like playing it
yeah.
safe and playing it carefully. You just never know what's going on.
I gotta tell you, I never. I know RSV is really dangerous when it comes to seniors and when it comes to infants. And we were out, and we believe that it was caught by some of our friends, and the entire house got sick, and then the baby got ear infection, and then all of a sudden to go and get the minoxidil, whatever that is, she's allergic to the dye. And a lot of kids are allergic to the dye. I'm not sure why, and I forgot what it is she was taking. Why they put a dye in there, and she broke out with rashes all over her body. Then all of a sudden they thought it was foot, mouth, hand, mouth, foot, whatever. It's crazy, right? But anyway, she's good, thank God.
Good.
But when people are out there, they need to stop thinking that COVID's the only thing you can get. I mean, because
Right.
we all have our shots, but
Right.
it's bad. But let's get into now, because I don't want to take up too many people's time. This is Monday, and I got a lot of questions to ask, and I think they have a lot of questions to ask.
Sure.
All right, what the hell is a funnel?
Well,
All those who don't know.
yeah, for sure. So what we're talking about here today is specifically a quiz funnel. So the question is really, what's a quiz funnel exactly? So you can imagine when someone lands on your website, if you've got a business or you're thinking about starting a business, instead of trying to sell them your stuff right away, or instead of trying to get them to do the next step, you begin by asking a series of questions in the form of a quiz so you can understand a little bit more about who they are, and then customize the message you put in front of them, the piece of content you put in front of them, the video you share with them, the episode of your podcast that you share with them, the product that you sell them, or whatever it may be, based on their answers. So like a doctor, you're kind of diagnosing their situation so you can prescribe the best next step instead of trying to sell to everybody in the same one size fits all way. So that's really what a quiz funnel is all about.
Let me break it down for all the parents in here. When you are a parent and you say to your kid, especially when your kids get around 11, 12, 13, you say, what's going on? How was school today? Okay. What do you do? Not what do you do. Like, you have a good day? Yeah, sure. What's going on in your life? Nothing. What I realized is the most effective way to talk to kids is give them a quiz. What are you looking more for? What are you looking forward to today at school? Right? Or what happened today that you are most excited about? Right? So then you can navigate where the answers are. That's what you're saying, right?
You're doing the same thing, and you tapped into the psychology of it. There's a few psychological forces at play, one of which is the psychology of micro commitments, right? So you just touched on it right there. You ask one of your kids, something that's too big of a question, like they're going to get scared off. Like they're going to be like, "Dad, no, not now." So you begin by what? You start small, right? You start with little baby steps, little stepping stones that creates a little bit of action taking momentum. People get going. And it's sort of like, a big mistake I see people make online all the time is that people are always, they jump too soon. They try to, they're proposing for marriage before they ask for the first date. Is that on my side, or is that, I don't know.
No, that's on my side. That's
okay.
One of my sensors when people are somewhere around the house. So if I have to get the ratchet, if that goes off at 3:00 at night, it's going to be a problem. I will cut that off in a second. Sorry about that. Hold on 1 second.
That's all good. Yeah, no, as Daymond comes back, I'll continue down this path about sort of micro commitments, asking a series of non-threatening questions that lead people down this path. Otherwise you scare people off with like the big scary alarms like Daymond has in place. I love that alarm, by the way. It sounds like the ice cream truck, it's like,
it is. It's you don't wake up at night like this, but somebody somewhere, I got a pretty big property, and you know that it's time to get the ratchet.
Right.
So I love that, the fact that you don't, because I mean, you're giving them a micro answer. You're getting a micro answer, so you don't want to be on a date and a man or woman says, "Are you ready to get married?" Right away, right? All right. Now, do you have preset So I go into I go into the site, and you say to me, what what is what is your favorite color? And you already know that out of these colors, these three colors, it's another place to take them, and these three colors is another place to take them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I'll give you an example. This is a meta example, and I'll just kind of talk through it. I have it right here on my computer screen. You can see right here. Here's an example of one of these quizzes in action, right? So this one's kind of meta. What type of funnel is right for your business? So if you're thinking about building a business online, there's so many different options, right? Do you do a video? Do you do a webinar? Do you do a sales video? There's so many different things you could possibly do. So this is a quiz that helps determine what type of funnel is right for your business. Are you selling apparel? Are you selling training? Are you selling an expensive product for thousands of dollars? Are you selling something for $10? Based on that information, we can identify what type of funnel is right for you. So you're kind of playing doctor. You're diagnosing a person's situation so you can prescribe the best next step for them. In the same way that if you think about your apparel business, right? If I said, hey, dude, I want to get a hat. You're not going to say, like, buy this hat, right? You're going to say, well, tell me a little bit about what kind of hat you're looking for. Are you a Yankees fan, or in my case, are you a Sox fan, right? So I couldn't wear the hat you're wearing right now because I'm a Sox fan. I had to take off my hat to be on this conversation right now. But you're going to ask me a series of questions, and you're doing the same thing online. You're just doing it in a way that it's automated so you can reach hundreds or thousands of people every single day.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. I mean, it's very similar to the recommendations that people have when you have listened to this amount of music or whatever the case is. There's a study, and by the way, a lot of people are saying the Shark Guy has no idea what we're talking about. When we're on Shark Tank, the reason why we talk like this is so that people out there get to understand, and it's not intimidating. I know exactly what you're talking about, but I'm trying to make this better for the listeners or the watchers, so that person, is inaccurate. But I'll give you a further study about it. About 6 years ago, they did a study at makeup counters, and they noticed that if they put an iPad at the makeup counter, 30%, the sales went up 30% if they had clues in there, because somehow people trusted technology and and if a woman went up to the makeup counter, she may not have looked like the way the woman was dressed there who was selling her makeup, or maybe the woman reminds her of the woman who stole her husband, or the woman her husband cheated on with, or not, or somebody that was bullying her. So that woman recommends a different color or shade or whatever the case is. This woman might not necessarily go to it. Or the woman may be somebody that she respects and values and thinks is beautiful. But oddly enough, when they went to the iPad and they filled out questions on their shadow or whatever the case was, they trusted the iPad more than anything else, because they felt that the iPad did not have a personal interest in or whatever the case is, when it's still programmed by the same woman.
Right. I'll give you an example, right? So this one I think will make a lot of sense for folks listening. So we created years ago a quiz called the Skin Type Quiz, and we partnered with a company called Proactive Skincare. So Proactive, multi-billion-dollar skincare company. We've probably all seen their commercials online. And we ask a series of questions to learn a little bit more about your skin type, to figure out what skincare product is right for you based on your skin. If you've got dry skin, if you've got oily skin, if you've got acne, if you have acne, is it topical? Is it local, just like on your face? Is it acne all over your body? Do you have scaly skin? What type of skin do you have? And based on that information, Proactive will recommend the best skincare product for you. This has been done in cosmetics. This has been done in fashion. Style Stitch, probably a company that you know. Warby Parker, what glasses frames are right for you? Take this quiz to find out now, based on your tastes, the shape of your face, your skin color. All of these factors impact what glasses are right for you. So it's personalization is what it is, and it's
Right.
the future of where the world is going. It's here now, and for anybody who wants to capitalize on this trend, there's never been a better time to do it.
But how can you assess if a funnel's effectiveness? Like, what are the KPIs that you look for, and how can you adjust that? And 1 second, my alarm. I just got to cut the base power off. Hold on.
Yeah,
Sorry.
all good. It's all good. So, to answer David's question, so 3 factors that you want to be thinking about when it comes to a quiz funnel like this.
Get this crap out of here.
It's the same thing with ours. Like, there's no shutdown button.
I'm in the
Uh,
studio by myself today. Sorry about that. All right. What are the KPIs
It's
you're
all
looking
good. So
for?
it's three numbers that we like to look for. So one is your cost per traffic. One of the big benefits of quizzes is that you can get incredibly cheap traffic. So you can cut your cost per traffic anywhere from 10 to 90%. So what that means is if you're paying for shout outs on Instagram, if you're paying for advertisements online on any platform, Facebook, YouTube, Google, anything like that, you can cut your cost per traffic incredibly. And the reason for that is because when people take a quiz, they share it. If you take a really good quiz, you share it with your friends. You share it with your friends. They share it with their friends, and the quiz can go completely viral. So that traffic is effectively free. So that's the first kind of number that we looked at is
Well,
cost per lead.
first of all, I know a lot about this stuff, but I didn't know that. So, I'm always one to admit when I don't know something, and I didn't realize that. But you're right. When you are either good at a quiz or the quiz is stumping you or is a fascinating quiz, you will share it with people. It's kind of like, those things on Instagram when you see what's your top three hip hop artists if you only had, that opportunity, and then all of a sudden you see everybody answering this thing and sharing it. So that's good to know.
Exactly. If I said, there's a parenting quiz that comes to mind. There are 5 main parenting styles. Do you know what your style is? Take this quiz to find out now. So you take the quiz and you're like, oh, I'm whatever, style 3. And you share it with your buddies and you share it with your friends and you say, have you taken this quiz? So that happens all the time. So incredibly cheap traffic is number 1. Number 2 is incredibly high conversion. So it's not just about getting people to take the quiz. It's about after people take the quiz, can you sell them more stuff more effectively? And the reason you can often double or even triple the amount of stuff that you can sell people is because you can customize the message that you put in front of someone based on their quiz results. So for example, if I'm proactive and I know that you've got dry skin and I say, hey, listen, as someone who has dry skin, you've probably suffered from this and this and this. And you're nodding your head saying like, oh my gosh, like that's exactly what I'm struggling with. And I say, well, here's the product that I recommend. It's a custom recommendation instead of trying to go to my website and say, good luck, buy whichever one you think is right for you. So high conversion is metric and result number 2. And then number 3 is incredibly fast results. So this isn't one of these strategies that takes forever to see results. And the reason for that is, as I mentioned a moment ago, you can get results fast because your quiz can go viral. And I'll share an example of this. So we're talking about COVID the other day. Talking about COVID earlier, and I'm thinking about someone the other day who her name is Dr. Tangi Watkins. She was a doctor, medical doctor. COVID hit, and she was on the front lines and got completely burnt out. So she said, you know what, I want to make a change. I want to start a new career. I want to become a coach. So she wanted to become a coach and serve people online. She wanted to help people in their career. So she created a quiz. What's your fulfillment score? How fulfilled are you really in your career? Take this quiz to find out now. And she got over 5,000 people to take this quiz. She started with no business, no product, no website, no experience. She just did this quiz. And she created what we call a pre-launch quiz. So she created this line of people out the door waiting for her to open up her services. She opened up the doors to her service as a coach, and she made over $20,000 in her first month. Why was she able to do this? Because she had this line of people out the door who had taken this quiz, basically knocking on her, figurative proverbial door saying, Dr. Tangi, when are you going to open up? Like, I want to work with you. So it's a great strategy for anyone who's just getting started to build that starving crowd, that line of people waiting for you to open up your services.
Now, she obviously, she hit some emotional buttons in people, and everybody here who's watching is an expert in something.
Right.
So do you craft these quizzes, or do you suggest people craft these quizzes off of their experience, or do they go and do studies and say, these are the things that are keeping people up at night, whether it be about weight loss, whether it be about, exercising or mental health or whatever, the cooking? How do they come up with these great, ideas, you know what I mean? Or questions.
So I'll walk through the process at a high level. So every successful quiz follows the same format: attract, diagnose, prescribe. Attract the right type of people in your world, ask a series of questions to diagnose their situation like a doctor, and prescribe the best next step for them. So let's talk about that attract step. How do you get people to take your quiz in the first place? You've got to start with a problem that already exists in your market. So I like to tell people, don't start with your product. Start with your customer. Start with your market. What is something that people in your market want to solve right now? Is it losing weight, making more money? Is it having a better relationship with their spouse? What is the problem right now that people want to solve? Start with that. So the topic of your quiz could be anything under the sun. But when it comes to the actual quiz itself, there are 3 types of quizzes. And a fun little thing that we'll do right now for everyone who's here live is I'd love to invite you to think which of these 3 types of quizzes might make the most sense for you. So first, type quiz. Type quiz is where you're putting people into one of several buckets based on their type or category. So if you, for example, if you're selling backpacks, you could have a quiz, what type of backpack is right for you? Take the quiz to find out now. And you're recommending the right backpack for someone based on their results. That's the first kind of quiz. Second type of quiz is what we call a killer quiz. This is where you're helping people identify the mistake that they're making in their life that's holding them back from getting the result that they want to achieve. So for example, if you help people lose weight, what's your biggest weight loss mistake? What's holding you back from losing the weight that you want to lose? Take the quiz to find out now. So I think of, for example, in the golf market, a quiz that over 10,000 people every single day take. It's called the Swing Killer Quiz. Take this quiz to find out your biggest mistake in your golf swing.
Yeah, but let me ask you, most of the time people know what they're doing wrong in life, the same with me, and it's up to them if they want to correct it. Now, a golf swing is something that you can get tutored on, you can practice this and that, but if you happen to be heavier than you would like to be, I mean, life is pretty simple, right? You either burn more calories or take in less calories, right? And you probably know what you're doing wrong, or do you believe that there's a magic pill out there that somehow is going to make it better? So there's two kind of things, right? Or are you saying some people that are heavier than they would like don't realize that even though they get an egg white croissant, the croissant is 500 calories and the egg is 75? I'm trying to understand,
I'll give you an example in the weight loss space. So this is a quiz that was created by a doctor, Dr. Steve Siskin. And what he found is that, and I'm not going to try to get too scientific here, but I'll give you an example in weight loss. He found that there are 4 primary weight loss hormones that we all have in our bodies. And by identifying which of these hormones is most out of balance, it can help you determine the thing that's been holding you back from losing weight. So the hormones are cortisol, insulin, ghrelin, and adiponectin. So these are 4 weight loss hormones. We all have them. But if one of these hormones is out of balance, your weight gain will show up in a slightly different way. If you have a high cortisol level, then you can have a lot of belly fat, especially as a man, right? So you can have that kind of the dad bod. I have it too, man. Don't. I've got it right here. If you have an insulin imbalance, you can be diabetic or pre-diabetic. I'll try to grab it right here. I'm actually a type 1 diabetic. So I'm a juvenile type 1 diabetic. So I've got an insulin pump right here that basically keeps me going. So based on asking a series of questions about things like, when do you tend to get hungry? Does your sugar tend to crash? Do you tend to have fatigue? Are you more of a sprinter or more of an endurance athlete? All of these questions can help determine what your weight loss type based on that, figure out how you balance that hormone. So for example, if cortisol is most out of balance, then it's maybe not about the food that you're eating and the exercise that you are performing. Cortisol is the stress hormone. So in that case, it might be about reducing your stress, getting more sleep at night, maybe doing some meditation, doing some yoga, actually bringing down your cortisol levels and not having such a stressful life. So when Dr. Steve Siskin created this quiz, it's a way to figure out that hormone, and then based on that, what you should do, what your next step should be. So that's like an example of a killer quiz in the.
And I get it, because then you are giving a lot of more information than the simple overview. Now, so you said there was a number 3.
Yeah. So first one is type, second one is killer or mistake, third one is score. So a score quiz is where you're evaluating basically where someone is in a success spectrum in an area of life. So for example, if you're evaluating, if someone's starting a business and they want to figure out what's my best next step, right? If someone goes to you and says, "Hey, Daymond, what should I do next?" Right? You probably, people ask you for business advice all the time. Well, you want to know where they are in their growth. Are they a startup? Mm-hmm. Have they proved concept? Do they have a team? Is it just a solo operator, like a founder all by themselves? Have they raised money? Mm-hmm. Do they have an office? You might want to ask these questions to know where they are in their journey of success, so that you can say, based on where you're at right now, here's the best next step for you. So to answer your original question, the first thing I was like to ask is, okay, of these three concepts, three quizzes, type, kill, or score, which one do you think might make the most sense for you, for your project, for your business? And for anyone watching this right now, feel free to like pop it in the comments and let me know if there's one that resonates more with you or that really stands out. And I love, by the way, seeing this Victor saying great stuff. And Arby says, I'm believing at the startup level, which is cool. Vast amount of applicable business use cases. Yeah, no, this is great. This is really, really good. Cool.
And let me, I'm going to ask you a very stupid question that a lot of people really, believe it or not, don't even understand why it's important. Why are email lists so important?
Yeah.
Because, there's a lot of social media people, and I forgot remember what that social media platform was where you had to do 6-second videos? What was that? About 3 years ago.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there have been so many. I mean, from the early days of MySpace, disappeared, right? Periscope was like the hottest
Periscope,
thing for a minute.
Meerkat, I think.
Meerkat,
A lot of these people had 20 million followers, and then when those platforms went away, they didn't know how to reach 20 million people.
Right.
But tell us more about why you think why are emails important?
Yeah, listen, like all these platforms come and go, and they can shut you down overnight. Like as great as Instagram is.
Vine.
Vine. Yes, Vine. That's what it is. Vine. Yeah. RTO, Robert says Vine. That's great. These platforms can come and go overnight. And even if they stay, they can shut you down overnight. Like we've seen cases of famous people who get kicked off of platforms like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. You can get kicked off tomorrow and you lose everything. But with your email list, when you have that email list, you own that. It's not rented ground. You own that. You can put it on a flash drive. You can put it in your pocket. You could fly to any country in the world and you still have that email list. And you can literally load it up, send an email to that group of people tomorrow and start back up, even if you lost everything. So it's the one asset that you actually own, your customer list, your email list, your community that's not on someone else's rented ground like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or YouTube or any one of these other channels. So, the way I look at it is social media like Instagram is a conduit. It's a path to drive people into your email list. So if you put a quiz on Instagram, for example, what you're doing is you're taking all the followers, all the traffic on Instagram, and you're taking it off of Instagram's property, and then now you have control of it. So you can follow up with these people. You can make offers. You can sell different things. You can put different content, different messaging in front of them and build a long-term relationship that's not transactional, but can last for years.
Well, let's talk about that. So how do you keep people on your list, and how do you continue to provide valuable content to them?
Well, that's the beautiful thing about a quiz, because when you start building a list, it's difficult to communicate with everyone because everyone's different, right? So for example, if you're in the weight loss space, let's hang on that example for a minute. Let's say you help people lose weight and you want to send a message that's going to be relevant. Well, let's say in your audience, you have women who are going through menopause in their 50s and 60s. You've got young moms in their early 20s who just had a baby who are looking to lose the post-baby weight. And you've got guys in their 30s who have gotten a little bit of belly fat and they want to develop a six-pack. Imagine if you sent an email out to that entire audience that said, like, how to get a six-pack. The women who are going through menopause right now are going to say, I'm on the wrong list. I'm going to unsubscribe. The women who are looking to lose their post-baby weight are going to say, this isn't for me. But if you send a menopause message to the guys who are looking to have a six-pack, they're going to say, what's going on? Like, why are you sending this to me? So by putting people through a quiz, you put people into different buckets. And by putting people into buckets, you can customize your messaging to all these different segments of your audience so that you stay relevant, so that your follow-up is related to their specific situation. So that's why a quiz is so powerful and what makes it so effective.
I get it. So, all right. So, let me see. I have some questions here. Okay, here you go. This is a good one here. What do you wish you knew when you were getting started as an entrepreneur? Let's talk about entrepreneurship, because I know that you are, founder and various other things.
So my story is simple. I grew up working class, first in my family, go to college. I had very good fortune of getting to a really good school, studied at the Ivy League level, studied neuroscience, worked on Wall Street, and then later in Shanghai, China. So when you talk about the masks, I spent 5 years living and working in China, and it was in the middle of SARS, bird flu, that time. So it was very normal for me to be in that environment. In 2008, world financial crisis hit. Company I'm working for goes out of business. And I said, all right, what am I going to do? And I lost everything. And I said, all right, I'm going to use this out as an opportunity to start my business. And that's exactly what I did. And I'll tell you, Daymond, I was so fearful when I first started. And one of my biggest pieces of advice, people always ask, what would you have done differently if you could do it all over again, knowing what you now know? I would have gotten help sooner. I tried to do everything on my own. I tried to do everything from creating my website to writing all my messages, to writing my emails, to learn all the things. Customer service, like everything from top to bottom. I was afraid to invest in myself, to invest in help. And as soon as I made my first hire, as soon as I brought the first person on my team, we started to explode. I went from $370 in my first month in business, $24,000 a month in 18 months, $117,000 a month within 3 years, $1 million a month shortly thereafter. But it wasn't until I decided to get help and stop trying to do it like on my own. So that's my biggest piece of advice. Stop trying to do it on your own. We all get help. We all do it with support of other people. That would be my advice.
How do you know? Because, I teach, there's two theories here. And I think that we have to also not make people go out and say, all right, let me mortgage a house to hire a bunch of help, right? Because all of a sudden, you can hire a bunch of people who all they're doing is taking your money, or not even taking your money on purpose. They don't know you that well,
right,
or your product that well. But there's also it's called the power of broke, I always say. So at what level do you get help? Or are you literally talking about paying somebody? Are you saying, I'm a great accountant, I'm going to go find somebody who's a great marketer. Hey, I'll help accounting in your business. You help me in marketing in my business. I mean, how do you do it where it is just step by step, where you don't get burnt out, you don't get taken advantage of, and you can see the progression?
Well, I think I am one of the most risk-averse entrepreneurs you'll ever meet. I'm not one of these people that, ever put all of his chips in. I bet $500 at a time. And so the way I look at it is as follows. You want to take small bets. So when you're thinking about bringing someone to help you out, don't get fixated on hiring someone on a yearly salary of $40,000, $50,000, $100,000 a year. You're not making that type of bet. My first hire, I brought in an assistant who was working 5 hours a week for me on an hourly basis. So I said, perfect, I can afford 5 hours a week just to help me with stuff. And the way you want to look at things is you want to look at what are the tasks you're doing in your life that are least expensive for you to have someone else do it. So for example, if you spend 2 hours a week mowing your lawn, and you can find someone, a kid down the street, a teenager, to mow your lawn for $10 an hour, well, $20, you just saved yourself 2 hours of your time. Now, can you make more than $10 an hour in that 2 hours? And if you can, boom, that's how you spend your time. So you start at the lowest dollar per hour tasks that are easiest for you to outsource and have someone do, and then you work your way up. And to
elaborate on that, the world has gotten to the point where we're virtual, and you can find, like right now, if I wanted to find a senior who years ago did not want to trek through the snow or get on the train, or maybe have ailments, or they want to be home with their grandkids, I can find a woman who could probably type 80 words a minute standing on top of her head blindfolded, and I can probably hire her. And I saw this happen with one of my friends who was an attorney when this whole thing went down and started to crash. And attorneys are going to be in business forever now with all the litigation and all that stuff. He asked his mother, who was 80 something years old, could she help, because she used to be an executive assistant. And he ended up hiring 16 women from her church to work virtually. And they all made him cupcakes and a bunch of food too as well. And he used a massive force of people. And now you can do that too. You can have somebody that you may have worked with years ago, or somebody who is on the other side of the country, other side of the world. They regain 4 hours round trip a day, or 3 hours round trip a day traveling, back and forth to work. They still got their day job. They could be helping you doing whatever you're doing. So there's somebody said the granny crew. There's a lot of ways to source people, now these days, to help you grow that business. And that's powerful.
Totally. Absolutely. I mean, the message there is you start small, start where you're ready, but build that muscle, build that outsourcing muscle, build that hiring muscle. Even if it's just hiring someone to do 1 hour a week of stuff for you. It just opens up this paradigm. It changes the world for you where you realize I don't have to do this all myself, that I can get help. And when you get help, things start to happen.
And that's when you scale. That's the entire thing of scaling, because a lot of us, we love our business so much, we feel that nobody's going to be able to do it as good as us, and a lot of times they won't.
Right.
And then we get caught working in the business instead of on the business.
Right.
And when you work on the business, you understand how to scale people, then you understand how to scale manufacturing, you understand how to scale sourcing for finance, you understand how to scale marketing, and that's the things you need.
Totally. Yep. Amen. I mean, that's it. You start doing all the jobs, and then you want to start giving away all the jobs one at a time until you're able to actually be that CEO and like you said, work on the business instead of in the business. Yep.
And I hate to break it to you, you may end up finding people that are actually better at your job than you are, and you can sleep at night. So another question about one last thing about quizzes. Does this work in your personal life when you're having meetings in person with people? Because a lot of people may use that quiz stuff for dating or closing deals or in person. I mean, why would it work here and not work there?
Well, that's what's beautiful about this. So what we're doing with the quiz is you are approximating the same type of one-on-one conversation you would naturally have with someone in person. So if I were to go up to you, Daymond, if we were to meet in person, if I were to run into you on the street and I said, hey, Daymond, huge fan of your show. Can you give me some advice? What should I do next in my business? You're not going to say, hey, man, do this. You're going to say, well, do you have a business? You're going to ask me a series of questions. Your quiz funnel is approximate. The funnel that you have online is doing what you would naturally do if you were having a conversation with people in person one at a time. But instead of doing it one at a time, you're able to do it hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people every single week having that same conversation. So absolutely, you can use this in your personal life. You can use this in personal meetings. It's the exact same process that you would follow if you're having a one-on-one conversation with someone, in regular life.
Well, it's a great negotiation tactic. A lot of people, I always say that you have to negotiate, or converse like you have your face is built, one mouth and two ears. You listen twice as much as you speak. And a lot of times people go in the room and they sell by just blurting out what they have. No, this is what I have. What do you think? Instead of saying, what's your challenge? Hey, are you into these type of things? And that's exactly what you're doing. So I love to simplify it, and hopefully people get it and they'll be able to use it. So, man, I appreciate it. You have any questions for me? Because I'm sitting there asking you all the questions.
My question for you is, you've learned a little bit about this. Maybe we'll talk about maybe like a real-time case study. Where do you see in all the businesses you got going on, all the projects you've got going on? I can see, the wheels turning. What is a project that you think might potentially benefit from this? And maybe we can brainstorm what that quiz might be right here on real time. We'll just do it like on the spot. No net. We'll figure out what it might be. What's a project or business or something you're working on right now that you think might potentially benefit from this?
Listen, let's always talk about FUBU, right?
Right.
FUBU made a resurgence, because of all the social issues and the fact that 90s apparel is back. Let's go over a FUBU quiz right now.
Yeah. So, I think there's a huge opportunity for if you wanted to sell someone an ensemble, not just an individual article of apparel, not just an individual article of clothing, but if you wanted to hook them up, I could imagine a FUBU style quiz where you ask people a series of questions and you can show people images. Do you like this or do you like this? How do you like your clothes to fit? Like that or like this? Which of the following, hip hop artists or which of the following celebrities do you most resonate with their style? You're showing people images one right after another. And at the end of it, you're saying, based on what you said, based on your taste, based on your preferences, based on your body shape, based on your size, I think this would be the perfect package for you. And now we can sell people a package of stuff so they don't have to try to piece it all together. You put together just a killer package. And instead of selling them one piece of clothing or article for $50, now we can sell them an entire wardrobe, right? And it gets even better, right? Because they take the quiz. And then you could potentially upsell people on an actual membership where you could say, how would you like us to ship you every single month a custom wardrobe to your door, fresh, before it hits our retail stores, before anybody else, that's hand-picked, hand-curated for you based on your personal test. Now, all of a sudden, we just took someone from a $50 one article buyer to now they're spending $300, $400, $500 a month in your store digitally online, and you're able to deliver better experience because you're able to help pick for them the best stuff for them. So I mean, I could see a FUBU style quiz crushing.
Oh, absolutely. You know who does a great D. He owns Young and Reckless, but he owns another denim company, and he does the same thing, and it's absolutely amazing. I mean, you know, because the guys get a box worth of $100 worth of clothes a month. It basically costs D 25 or 50 because he would have normally 25 because he would have sold it to the retailer at 50 and they would have sold it for 100, but the guy gets it for 50. I mean, and it's worth 100 and change. They already have, like you're saying, the person's basically DNA or what they like. And then also, you know, people like a Gillette would say, you know, now that I know that you're servicing 1 million guys, can I put this new razor in there and give you $1 million to also send it out to them? Plus, because you already have that gentleman's sizing, you get a smaller amount of returns.
Right.
Now, this really works with women really well. Why? Because, and all the women here, you give me a thumbs up if I'm right or a thumbs down if I'm wrong. Often women will buy, if she doesn't know if she's a 10 or 11 or whatever, they will buy 2 sizes because they're not sure where they are that month or year in their shapes if they don't know a brand, and they'll buy it and they will return one of them, right? Because they're trying to figure out who they are, right? Or what size fits for them. And that is a massive amount of cost because of the amount of returns and processing, and you usually make almost half of what you were supposed to make because of all the returns. But yet if a woman now understood her sizing and she know that no matter what, she's not going to have to worry about that. Now she's got to worry about the style or whatever the case is. You're going to get much less returns by having this club.
If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.